Hello and welcome to Culloden Painting Studio. Today is my first unboxing video. In front of us here we have some of the new Wargames Atlantic Dark Age Irish Warriors. They're teasing perhaps this is going to be part of a range of figures. Blood Oaths, the Dark Ages after Rome falls. Inside this box we've got 40 figures, broken down into 30 human warriors and 10 Irish wolfhounds. The box art is very nice by Peter Dennis, and some good pictures of painted models from the set as well. And inside we've got 5 identical hard plastic sprues with options for building 6 warriors and 2 dogs on each sprue. I think that the inclusion of dogs on every sprue is not that great. If you're buying multiple sets, you're going to end up with a lot of surplus dogs pretty quickly. I can see Saga players maybe having a pack of dogs, but I think the second-hand market is going to get flooded with Irish Wolfhounds pretty quickly. So, spin the box around just now while we get the back. So I've got a little bit of blurb. I have particular interest in the Dark Ages in the Hebrides, west coast of Scotland, and I think these models will suit that area absolutely fine, and can fight from a fight against ancient Britons, Vikings, possibly all the way up to the end of the sort of 11th century against some of the Anglo-Norman adventures into Ireland as well, so a useful set there. Let's have a look at the sprues. So 5 of these identical sprues in there. We have got a nice set of heads down the left here. Let's bring them a bit closer to see. Lots of screaming faces, which is always good. One helmeted head. There's also a sheep's skull, which I guess you could use to adorn top of a spear as a standard of sort. We've got bucklers, and we've got larger shields as well. A nice variety. Different weapons, javelins, spears if you want to call them that, swords, clubs. Over the side we even have a hand holding just a stone to throw, and we've got a horn, a pointing hand. Disappointingly, perhaps only one sling. So out of this box of 40 models, if we include the dogs, you'd only get 5 slingers. So if you wanted multiple slingers, then lots of boxes need to be made, or a little bit of conversion. More on that later. And the sling arm as well is wearing some clothing. It's a sleeve, and we've got 2 of the bodies have bare arms, so you're limited then into which models can hold on to that sling if you use it. We do have a couple of capes, which is a nice touch. That just adds a little bit more individuality to some of the models. Perhaps if you wanted to mark out a leader, a cape would be a simple way to do that. So the dogs are in 2 poses. You can't get them mixed up. One of them has a left hand side on the base, and the other one has a right hand side on the base, so no chance of varying the appearance of those dogs there. There is a nice little bit of design, which I noticed when I put some of these together, is that on the models with no covering on the arms, the shoulder has a little bit of a projection. So a bare-chested guy here, and those with clothes just have a flat surface, so it means that you can't accidentally put a clothed arm onto the naked torso or guy in shirt sleeves without the joint looking really weird. So it does help you guide when you're putting things together. As far as I'm aware, the parts are more or less all in can be mixed together as per your wildest desires. There's no lettering or numbering system on the sprues, aside from the avoiding giving the bare armed ones to the models with clothes on. The little bits to decorate with: a couple of knives, a sheath sword, and an empty sword sheath as well. So, good selection there. They go together okay. I've put together one chap here just with a javelin. I'll just put the box in. Just use that as a support there. So quite straightforward, just the head and the arm to go on. Minimal mould lines to clean off, so that's great. Nice and straightforward. As a little size comparison, I've got a Gripping Beast Dark Age Warrior here. The Gripping Beast one is maybe a little shorter, but realistically I think that scales absolutely fine. Obviously he's wearing some sort of shoe, so that marks him out as perhaps a noble in Dark Age Ireland, unlike the models in the box, which are all barefoot. And as a comparison to a couple of other ranges as well, here's a plastic Victrix Viking. The Victrix Viking has an additional bit of heft to him, for sure taller. That's a very hairy head, but still I think it is bigger. And sort of across the shoulder, fairly similar. So, you know, perhaps we can get away with a few taller nobles mixed in with the underclasses. Here's a metal Gripping Beast. And I think that scales pretty well as well. Again, suffering maybe from a bit of a bigger head, but I think that fits in just fine. I was a bit disappointed though when I scaled in Footsore miniature here. I think Footsore's Irish range is my favourite out there. He's quite significantly smaller, and I don't think that scales very well at all. You possibly could say they are more youthful warriors, but that guy's bald head and full beard would sort of mark him out as an older gentleman. So I don't think they're a good match. Interestingly enough, Footsore have just announced that they're also selling the Wargames Atlantic Dark Age Irish through their store. I wouldn't be comfortable myself mixing them in the same unit. Possibly, you know, in a large army, you wouldn't pick up on the size differences, but certainly this javelin armed chap, not a great match there. Let's just take these guys away, and I'll bring in the two dogs here. Just have a look at how they scale up off the sprue. So decent sized beast without sort of getting into the oversized fantasy tropes. You'd maybe be able to get a gnome to ride on one of them. A bit too small for any other fantasy creature though, I think. But they might be nice for adorning dioramas. The occasional one in a bigger unit, perhaps in a rank and file sort of war game. Now, messing around with the kits, I mentioned earlier that there's a lack of slings. However, the Gripping Beast Dark Age Warriors set does come with a whole multitude of slings. What I've done here is taken the bare-chested Wargames Atlantic Irish Warrior. I've given him a Gripping Beast Dark Age Warrior head, and I've sawed off the hand that was holding a club, and I've replaced it with one of the Gripping Beast slings. So here's a way to get a bunch of slingers. I think the sling hands, as they come on every single Dark Age Warrior sprue from Gripping Beast, I'm pretty certain if you asked around on Facebook groups or looked on eBay, you'd be able to find hundreds of those sling arms, hands that is, with the sling attached if you wanted to kit out a full unit from this new set. The cape is a nice addition, and I have found that it fits just fine on this Victrix Viking. So here's making a pretty nice Viking model, that little bit blingier by the addition of a cape, so perhaps he could go into a unit of Huskarls, or perhaps even be your warlord. So it's nice that the cape will work with different ranges, I think. Finally, sort of made a mixed unit here, just to show how ranges can go together. So in the front rank there, this is a gripping beast Dark Age warrior with a Wargames Atlantic Irish head, a Footsore Irish Fianna model. It does appear to be a bit bigger than the warrior I was using earlier, so it mixes in not too bad at all. Next time we have a Victrix Viking, quite a bit taller, but you know, the odd model about being taller than the others is not a big deal for me. The bulk of them is fairly reasonable. And next time, Wargames Atlantic Dark Age Irish. So they all go together pretty well. There is one hand in the Dark Age Irish set which I'm not such a fan of, is this axe. At that angle, it kind of looks okay. Head on though, I feel like the axe head should be turned in the hand and sort of face the same direction that the model is looking. It's just a bit awkward. I tried it down at holding it at waist level as well, and it wasn't ideal. Let's see from above, just sort of straight up and down. So not the best angle there. Perhaps it works better on a different body, but it's one of the little minor grievances I've got with the set. Plan is to get this group of nobles, as I'm calling them, painted up shortly. I'll try and share a video on the process of doing that. So, Wargames Atlantic Dark Age Irish. A very nice set. Minimal flash and cleanup on plastics, which is great. Weapon options a little limited, especially slings, and the inclusion of the dogs. I think if you're buying one box perhaps to play Saga with and you wanted dogs, then that would be fine. If you're buying multiple ones for a bigger army, for something like Hail Caesar, you're going to end up with a lot of unused models, and I think the space on the sprue perhaps could have gone to other warriors and had the dogs on a separate one as an inclusion in the set, and therefore if people were buying individual frames or sprues, they'd get more. But yeah, a good purchase. I'm looking forward to more models from Wargames Atlantic. They have released some ancient Persians recently, and they have some Napoleonic Spanish in the pipeline as well, which might interest me too. They do lots of fancy ones, halflings, fancy skeletons, with a ancient Greek twist, and some sci-fi models as well. So a newish company, releasing some decent stuff. Hope we can keep up the momentum, and I'll certainly be looking out for more. Thanks for watching.